I had to go live with this. So I want to set the record straight. I want to set the record straight. This is my rebuttal in regards to the destructive scrimmage of John G. Jones. This is something that the Prince Hall think tank went and they did their little thing on John G. Jones and how divisive he was and all of that. This is just my rebuttal to the whole thing. Now, in the beginning, they talked about how well John G. Jones was, how good a man he was in the community. They talked about all of that, which is okay. That's fine. And then they went on and they talked. They began to get into his personal life as far as Freemason was concerned, and they began to talk about, him and how he went about, tearing up Freemasonry and doing, all sorts of things, and how he was arrested and everything else. So I'm going to get into that as I begin my rebuttal. First of all, I want you to just take a listen at some of the things they began to say in regards to Jones. Okay, just take a listen. I don't have live video, but just take a listen. This is PHA think tank dealing with John G. Jones.
Of what is now the ancient Egyptian Arabic order known as Mystical Shrine, because he was in charge of all the Prince Hall Shriners in the country. That year was also the same year the United Supreme Council session was held. So Jones leaves the Imperial Council session. He actually goes to the White House, presents a petition to the president. After that incident, he then leaves and goes to the United Supreme Council session. He was actually present at the session, and at that time, in 1895, he was serving as the Lieutenant Grand Commander of the official title was the United Supreme Council of the Southern and Western Jurisdiction. The Sovereign Grand Commander was Thornton Jackson. So I'm just assuming, just from looking at the amount of traveling that John G. Jones was doing, he was pretty tired. So that night, about 10 o'clock.
So he's saying that at the session in 1895 that Jones had did all this traveling, and now he's supposed to be tired as he began his journey into the session. So I'm listening to this. I'm gonna go a little farther. This is at this video is like an hour and 33 minutes long, or maybe a little bit more. So I'm gonna fast forward. But let's get one thing straight. John G. Jones did not charter Prince Hall Shrineham as we know it today. He did not. That's a fact. They did not incorporate their shrinedom until 1900 or 1901. Period. So when you go and say that you was founded in 1893, that's a lie, because Jones did not. He was not the founder of what we know today as the ancient Egypt Arabic order of the nobles of the Mystical Shrine. He was not. So let's just clear the air on that. You can't claim that. Reorganized that year in 1900. John G. Jones had nothing to do with you at that time. Okay? We're going to move a little forward because I know you're going to say, well, he spelled in 1903. That's a dismoment. That's not true. That's not true. Trust me. I got some facts to back it up. Let's go on.
Thornton Jackson and a few others had actually lost the election in 1895. And let me back up a little bit. Once Thornton Jackson finds out about what John Jones has done, he suspends him from the United Supreme Council.
Okay. So now he's saying that John G. Jones was suspended from the United Supreme Council because he was supposed to have formulated his own Supreme Council during that time. But that's not true. I got paperwork saying different. Hold on just a second. Let me go get this paperwork. I gotta go get it. Hold on. So I'm sorry, I'm back. So they said that I had to go get some paperwork. So it is said that John G. Jones was suspended or expelled by Thornton A. Jackson. So I'm going to share this with you. I had to make copies. I couldn't bring the whole book here, but I'm going to share this with you. Okay, this is from The Struggle of Freemasonry, and this was written by a Prince Hall Mason. Okay, it is said that on page, let's see, make sure I get this right. Okay, now according to them, this you can kind of see this for yourself. I want you to know this is not something I wrote up. This is from a Prince Hall brother himself. This is out of The Struggle of Freemasonry. Okay. Okay, in the book that they're referencing for chapters, I don't know if you can see it or not, but these are the books they're referencing. So the book that I'm going to be referencing is going to be the Plumb Line, Volume 1, written July the 10th, written July 1910. The second one is going to be the Plumb Line, still Volume 1, rewritten April the 11th, 1911. Okay? And this is going to be Proceedings of Louisiana 1903, page 206 to 207. So I'm giving you my references from where I got this information from. All right? So you can't say that I'm coming at you strangely. So here's what they said in regards to Jones. They said the reason Jones was suspended because he in 19 it says that Jones with others met in Washington State, not Washington D.C. They said Washington State, June 5th, 1894, on October the 25th. On October 25th, 1895, Thornton A. Jackson, Sovereign Grand Commander of the Supreme Council of Prince Hall Mason, issued an order advising that Jones had been suspended for having invaded the District of Columbus, attempting to convert the 33rd in violation of the Constitution of the Supreme Council. This is what they're saying. For having formed a Supreme Council in opposition to the one which had given him Masonic existence as a Scottish Rite Mason, thereby violating his oath. Okay? Then it goes on to state there's records. Now this says there's records. I'll send you a copy. If you send me your email, I'll send you copies of what I'm reading. It says there are records existing that illustrate the high esteem that Jones had had. Okay, so it says on May 6, 1880, over the signature of Thornton A. Jackson, Grand Commander of the Supreme Council for the Southern and Western Jurisdiction of the Scottish Rite, Jones was elected Sovereign Grand Inspector and active member for life. This is in 1800. Then it goes on to say, on March 25th, 1887, and over the signature of John H. Handy, Grand Commander for the same Scottish Rite jurisdiction, Jones was re-elected membership for life. Now this is what they're saying. Okay, after he was supposed to have been suspended, now he's elected membership for life. Now, like I said, you send me your email address, I send you what I'm reading. Hey, and I send you where I got it from too, so you won't be, this is the information I got. So we're gonna move on. So it is said that Jones was arrested, thrown in jail, and all of that. I tell you what, I got $100 bet, $100 bet. If Jones was thrown in jail and arrested, show it to me. This is that Prince Hall think tank. You said that Jones was thrown in jail and arrested. If you can prove it to me that that's the John G. Jones that is a Mason that was thrown in jail, I got $100 bet. I will give you $100 if you can prove it to me. Plain and simple. Prove it, because I done my own research. I done mine. And I'm telling you that you're a lie. It wasn't John G. Jones as we know it, as we know the man who's the lawyer during that time. It wasn't him. So, Prince Hall Think Tank, got $100 on the table. You can come get it. All you got to do is prove it, right? So, we're going to move on from there. So, it is said that Jones, when he died, right? when he's supposed to have passed away. Nobody came to Jones's funeral. There was no one there and everything. Well, I got something for you. So this is a resolution that was read at Jones' funeral. This is a resolution. This is actually at his funeral that was read, okay? And if you want a copy of this, I can get you a copy of this too. You know, and it goes on not only to tell you who was there, but let's check this out. Just so you know. It came out of the Boston newspaper.
Also suspends Dorsey 7.
Okay, it comes out of the Boston newspaper. That's where it comes from. This is his obituary right here. This is his whole thing on who was at his funeral, the whole thing. All right. So when people tell you, oh, Jones, when he died, nobody went to his funeral, blah, that's a lie. And I got the documents to prove it. Hey, if you want to find something, you just do the research hard enough, you can find it. So my rebuttal to the Prince Hall think tank, for those who were saying that nobody was at Jones's funeral, hey, it's there, black and white. Tell you exactly who was there. And those who said that he was arrested. Jones was arrested. He was thrown in jail. He died penniless and brokeless. I got a $100 bet. You can take that or let it alone, right? So let's just look at some of the things, all right? What they said about Jones. It says this is in the Boston Mass Memorial Service was held for the late John G. Jones, 33rd degree Grand Commander of the Supreme Council of Scottish Rite Mason for the Northern and Southern jurisdiction. And then it goes on to say that Robert H. Shield, 33rd Grand Treasurer of Alpha Grand Lodge, Louis C. Collins, past Sovereign Right Grand Master for John G. Jones Grand Consistory, OES of Massachusetts. Those taking parts was Herbert L. Jackson, many more, Fred W. Riggs, Elise W. Ryder, Fred Herbert Emmett Barkley, Right Worcester Sovereign Grand Matron. And it goes on to tell you about Russell, J.W. Russell, 33rd. A sermon was preached by Reverend E.K. Nicholas. That's here, okay? Now, it goes on to say, the death of a man. There recently died in Chicago an African American who was very instrumental in these later days when the city been overrun by the Jim Crow law, self-seeking and express the race of self-segregation, separate Christian, isolation buildings, and other steps of characteristics like John D. Jones, stands out in all the generations of brilliancy. In the old days, he fought for every black man and people of his color. So great was the instigator they call him, when his people was wrong, so he fought so against every Jim Crow law that he earned himself that name. While in a loaf, calling the earnings saved enough money to pay his tuition into law school. After serving years, he was admitted to the bar. We all know that story that he was admitted to the bar. And then it goes on to say, in regards to Jones, in the things he did, it said Jones was absolutely unafraid many years ago when he was a member of the Illinois legislation. He refused to vote for the late S.M. I think that's Collier. It kind of cut off here. I think it's Collier cut off here. For the United States Senate, because he felt that the Cloom, C-L-O-O-M, C-L-L-O-M, had not been square in his dealing with African Americans. This man refused to vote for someone who was running for someone who wanted to come and to be a part of the legislating body. So I'm just saying, people can talk a lot of noise, but if you want what I have, you can email me. I'm easy to find. You can email me and I'll send you a copy of what I'm reading right here. So we're going to look at the real history of John G. Jones. All right, I want to say a big shout out to my boy Amos from Chicago, Illinois, of Jerusalem Grand Lodge out of Chicago, Illinois. Definitely want to send a big shout out to my friend Christopher Tabb and my brother Alfredo from HB Turner Grand Lodge. I mean, today's conference call was great. I enjoyed you. I want to send a big shout out to my man, also Sovereign Bay, over the primitive rights. Also, my friend, my good friend, Joseph Burris, so of the primitive rights. So I just want to send you guys a shout out. But right now, I'm going to go right here. It says John G. Jones, the man, the history of the man and everything they hate. So if you're going to debate somebody on John G. Jones, it is good to have somebody there that knows about the man instead of giving your opinion. You know, and I say that because that's what happens a lot of times when people want to debate Jones. They never have someone to debate them in regards to that. So my challenge is to the think tank. Why don't you have someone on your think tank that doesn't think like you? Just asking. And I'm easy to get in contact with. Very easy. So let's look. John G. Jones is John G. Jones in Black history. Okay, so he served in the Illinois House of Representatives from 1900 to 1902. All right. Now, I want to share this with you. So, let me see, I want to make sure I get this right. This book right here, this is a jewel. This is a jewel. I'm just saying. If you don't have it, too bad. It's not even, I don't even think it's in print anymore. This is a jewel. All right. So, we're going to take a look at some things. And if you want to ask me a question, you can go right ahead because, I'm heated. Anyway, so, in 1903, John G. Jones traveled to Romania. The Supreme Council of Romania recognized Jones at that time as the most puissant sovereign grand commander for the southern and western Masonic jurisdiction. If you want to find out where I got that information at, or where I got it from, it is in the B of the Washington. It was written in the B. See that? You can find it here. This is 1903. The same year Jones was supposed to be suspended from Prince Hall. He's traveling to Romania, where he had received his Supreme Council was recognized by the Supreme Council of Romania. We have documents on that. This is not something I'm telling you off the top, and he's not recognized. Peace and greetings to the East. Oh yeah, most definitely. Freemason Unlocked. I'm waiting on you, baby. I'm waiting on you. We're going to talk again. But definitely. So I'm showing you documents. I'm not showing you something that somebody is telling me and I'm repeating it. No, this is some research that was done by Brother Christopher Tave, Brother Amos, Brother Frello from HB Turner, and myself. Brother Debo. I can't forget Brother Debo. So we're not just sitting idly by just talking and blowing. No, bruh. If you want to have this conversation, have the conversation with somebody from that jurisdiction who knows what they're talking about, instead of just you getting on the Prince Hall think tank and just talking. I'm just saying, if we're going to have the conversation, let's have the conversation with someone who may be able to counter what you're saying in regards to Jones, his life, his legacy, and the things that he did. So let's continue to look at some of the things that Jones did. All right. He also produced an anti-lynching bill during his time. An anti-lynching bill, all right? Not only that, in 1904, the man ran for president. There was a third black presidential candidate that year. He was nominated for the Lincoln Party, okay? It was E. Penn, but there was not much information found on him. But in 1904, newspapers in Missouri and West Virginia, History Research Center consult on the century. It is known that there is a running mate, John G. Jones, the popular lawyer. There you go. Oh, you didn't know he ran for vice president of the United States? Yeah. But he died broke and penniless, right? And he was thrown in jail, right? Somebody need to help me out real quick. All right. And not only that, he ran under the Lincoln Party. Hey. So when you go to talking about Jones, you know, I would appreciate it that you bring somebody else on that can debate some of the things that you're saying about Jones, because no, it doesn't go like that. It really doesn't go like that. So I don't have a whole lot to say tonight, but in regards to that, but this is definitely something that we should all consider. But you know, hey, it is what it is. People have their own way of distorting the history of Jones. You know, so I'll be traveling here soon to Detroit to our annual Supreme session. We're approaching our 98th annual Supreme session, and this is the 88th one I got on here, but we'll be approaching our 98th Supreme session here real soon. So hey, you know, the Southern and Western Masonic jurisdiction lives on. So until we see each other again, as always, my brothers, peace and be well, and definitely, oh, hold on. Greetings from the UK. It's what's up, Brother Muhammad? I would take that bet. Hey, John Hanson, I'm glad you up, bruh. You can take that bet. I'd bet you $100. My word is my bond, John. That's all I got. $100. If you can prove to me that John G. Jones, the lawyer, the man we're talking about, was arrested, I'll take that $100 because I've done my own research too. John G. Jones, the black John G. Jones, not the white one that was arrested, but the black one. Think on that. And you let me know what you come up with. I will, and I can prove that John G. Jones was arrested. All right, bro. I'm taking the bet. This is Facebook Live. My word is my bond. And I got $100 on it. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And I'll shut up. Man, you know, it don't take much. That's a black one. Okay, that's a black one. Make sure it's the one that was the lawyer, okay? All right. Okay. I have no issue with that because, and I say that because everybody talks about it, but nobody never really produced anything. And from what I've done my own research, all right, I'm good. Okay, why did it take so long for the infidel suspension to take place in 1895? Well, I don't know why it took so long for them to suspend Jones when he was a supreme, when he was the most eminent Grand Master, the most puissant sovereign Grand Commander of the Southern and Western Masonic jurisdiction. Oh, I missed that, bro. I missed that. You were saying something, but I missed it there, Harrison. But anyway, so the question is, why did it take them so long to suspend Jones when they knew that he was the most puissant sovereign Grand Commander for a whole separate jurisdiction that he and others incorporated during that time? Bro, I couldn't tell you. There's no way in the world that I can say that, hey, you know, Jones was the most puissant sovereign Grand Commander, and here he is still a member of Prince Hall all the way up to 1903. Harrison, can you answer that for me? Why did it take so long? Oh, the Supreme Council and the state Grand Lodges are separate. From my understanding, if you're suspended from your Grand Lodge, you can't hold membership in the affiliated bodies. The suspension had nothing to do with the Supreme Council. It had nothing to do with it had to do with the Blue Lodge. Well, bro, if you're suspended, wait a minute, but he's a sovereign Grand Commander of a whole nother Supreme Council. You can't have it both ways. You can't. You're telling me because the Supreme Council suspended Jones that he was still active in his Blue Lodge, which had nothing to do with the Supreme Council, right? Come on, man. You're going to have to do better than that one for me. Yeah, you're going to have to do better than that one for me. The Supreme Council was not the Blue Lodge. I understand that. I got that. But if the Blue Lodge suspends him, which they did in 1903, then he has nothing to do with the Scottish Rite body. So, John, you mean to tell me that I can be I can be part of John G. Jones Grand Lodge of California, right? And then I can hold membership in another Supreme Council. Am I understanding that correctly? You can be suspended from the council and still hold membership in your lodge. I got that. But what I'm asking, John, is that I can be a member of my Grand Lodge, right? And then be a member of another Supreme Council. Am I understanding that correctly? I'm a member of John G. Jones Grand Lodge of California. And you mean to tell me I could be a member of another Supreme Council that doesn't recognize my Grand Lodge or has no affiliation with my Grand Lodge? I'm waiting for your answer. But anyway, and yeah, you can type that up. I'm going to be here for a little while. It's still kind of early on the West Coast. It's 11:14, and I know I got to work in the morning, but I'm up for a minute. You know, I don't understand us. Okay. All right. The Prince Hall claimed they were upset about him incorporating his own Supreme Council. Also, there were alleged 5 Prince Hall Supreme Councils at the time, with Jones being the head of one. Freemasonry Unlocked, you're close. But according to Prince Hall history, Jones was never a Most Puissant Sovereign Grand Commander. Am I right there, Brother Harrison? Am I right? Jones, according to your history, was never a Prince Hall Most Puissant Sovereign Grand Commander? Okay, so if he created another Supreme Council that had nothing to do with the Supreme Council that was a majority affiliated with the Grand Lodge of Illinois, this is correct. Okay, I'm just saying, my question is can I be a part of my Grand Lodge and then have membership in a Supreme Council that has nothing to do with my Grand Lodge, since there's totally 2 separate bodies? That's all I'm asking, because I doubt it. I just don't see it happening. Yeah, so you mean to tell me I can maintain my membership in John G. Jones Grand Lodge of California, then I can become a member, active member of the Scottish Rite body for California under the California Grand Lodge? Am I understanding that correctly? I'm asking. I can be a member of John G. Jones Grand Lodge, California, and become an active member, Scottish Rite. No, I'm not twisting no facts. I'm asking that 2 separate jurisdictions. I'm asking that I can be a member of California. I can be a member of my Grand Lodge and be a member of another Supreme Council that doesn't recognize my Grand Lodge. That's my question. And I'm not twisting anything. I'm asking a simple question. It's either yes, you can, or no, you can't. Because if you tell me yes, you can, then I can say, okay, if Jones was a member of a different Supreme body, but yet they recognized him because now remember, then it is a claim that he was suspended in 1903, but yet he's the Most Puissant Sovereign Grand Commander elected in 1895, 1896, somewhere along up in there. He served in that office up until his death. Listen, John G. Jones was a member of the Grand Lodge of Illinois, and there was a different Supreme Council with members from Prince Hall Grand Lodge. So you're saying that there was 2 active Supreme Councils, Jones being head of one and Thornton being head of one. Am I understanding that correctly? Of his own Supreme Council. So you mean to tell me that the members that was with John G. Jones Supreme Council were members of Prince Hall Grand Lodge also, and they were not suspended, just him? You're saying there was more than 2. And there was more than 2, and Jones incorporated the Southern and Western Masonic jurisdiction, as we all know. And he was still a member of the Grand Lodge of Illinois. Exactly. Okay, exactly. Well, I'm hearing it from you. And it's hard to believe that Prince Hall Grand Lodge would still allow a person to be the Most Puissant Sovereign Grand Commander of a whole different Supreme Council for which their Grand Lodge has no affiliation, nothing to do with. I missed that last comment. I just find that hard to believe. But hey, if it happened, it happened. But I know in today's standard, that's not gonna happen. And I doubt it if it happened then. So let me see. The Supreme Council has nothing to do with the Grand Lodge, brother. Bruh, if the Supreme Council has nothing to do with the Grand Lodge, which I can see your point, and I can say that, then if you're suspended from your Grand Lodge, how can you have membership in the Supreme Council? If you're suspended from your Grand Lodge, can you have membership in your Supreme Council, John? I'm asking that because in 1903, supposedly Jones was suspended. So if he's suspended or expelled or suspended in 1903, but yet he's still the most puissant sovereign grand commander. Oh yeah, that's his own Supreme Council. That's his own Supreme Council. You still allow him to be a member of Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Illinois from 1895 to 1903. So what happened in 1900 when what happened in 1900 when the ancient Egypt Arabic Order of the Nobles of the Mystery Shrine was organized? What happened there? Is Jones' name on that charter? Did he have anything to do with that? Because the Grand Lodge didn't care about what happened outside of the Grand Lodge. Oh no, I'm not falling for that okie doke. I'm not falling for that. No. You can't tell me that the Grand Lodge doesn't care what happens outside of its jurisdiction as far as the Supreme Council is concerned. No. No. All right. Okay. So yeah. All right. Yeah, they do. They do. Grand Lodges care about the politics that happens in the Scottish Rite because it affects the members who want to become either York Rite or Scottish Rite. It affects them. I understand that Prince Hall has two southern jurisdictions. Yeah, they do. And they do have members from one Grand Lodge. Okay. Now the Grand Lodge makes up memberships, am I right? It can happen. You saying it can happen. I'm not saying it can happen. You saying it can happen. I'm saying that the Grand Lodges are concerned about the politics that happens on a national level with the Scottish Rite and York Rite. They are concerned. And if you tell me they're not concerned, then why would a brother even participate in going up into those affiliated departments if they're not concerned? If the ancient accept the Scottish Rite, where did they get their members from? They get them from the Grand Lodge. So the Grand Lodge has to be concerned with the Scottish Rite body. I think that Jones was actually pretty strong, being the past Deputy Grand Master of Illinois. Some underhanded politics may have been going on. The appendant bodies in the rights and subordinate to the Grand Lodge. That may be so. Tony, you're mistaken how you see things. The Grand Lodge does not involve itself in the Supreme Council politics. I'm not saying that the Grand Lodge personally involves itself. I'm saying that on the other side of things, that they are concerned. I'm not saying that they have to personally be involved. I'm saying that they are concerned about the politics that take place because the membership that is attracted to the Scottish Rite and York Rite comes from the Grand Lodge. That's where it comes from. If you're not a member of the Grand Lodge, then how are you going to go into those affiliated or dependent bodies? That's my question. If you are not a member of a Grand Lodge, how are you going to go into the appending bodies of the Scottish Rite or York Rite? You have to be a member. And that Scottish Rite body has to recognize your Grand Lodge. Oh, I'm missing all this. Okay, then the Grand Lodge of Illinois was not concerned which Supreme Council their members was a member of. Oh, come on, John. Really? You mean it? No. If the Grand Lodge, okay, brother, Freemason Unlocked, you say if the Grand Lodge outlaws an appendant body, the right of the appendant body cannot be practiced. Absolutely. You're absolutely correct. If the Grand Lodge says that you cannot be part of these appendant bodies, then it is outlawed. So you mean to tell me that now that's not politics? That's politics 101. They had members who was members of both Grand Lodges. And wait a minute. So There was members of John G. Jones Grand Lodge, and there was members of Illinois Grand Lodge that was part of both Supreme Councils. Am I understanding that correct or not? Because that doesn't fly. That's mixing eggs and bacon. Now they go together. I love egg and bacon in the morning. I do. But John, no, I'm not. No, I can't see. You're gonna have to help me with that one, and I don't mind asking for help when I'm wrong. I mean, I'm gonna need some help understanding how is it that the Grand Lodges doesn't care in regards to what a pending body that their membership would go into. I can't see that. No, I don't see that. I don't see that happening. You're gonna have to do better than that. Yeah. Okay. No, stop mistaking the statement. The Grand Lodge of Illinois has Master Masons that were members of either Supreme Council, Jones or Jackson. Come on, man. Now I read that. Oh, no, John. No, I'm not mistaken that. I'm not gonna go with the fact that there were members of Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Illinois that had membership to Jones and membership under Thornton A. Jackson. Knowing that Jones incorporated his Supreme Council, Southern and Western, Thornton A. Jackson's over the Northern and Southern jurisdiction, from my understanding. So you're saying that they got along? Everything was cool? So you mean to tell me that Thornton A. Jackson Supreme Council, Northern and Southern, Jones Supreme Council, Southern and Western, had membership out of the Grand Lodge of Illinois, and everybody got along? Am I understanding that correctly? And I'm not twisting anything. That's my understanding. And I'll wait. As a matter of fact, let me see. Can I do this? Nah, I can't do that like I want to do it. Nah, can't do that like I want to do it. No, stop mistaking the statement. Okay. Let me see. Remember, though, Jones was still in good standings in the Grand Lodge. Okay, great. All right. That was my boy Prince Hall in Lodge. And then it said, this is a known fact by looking at the proceedings of the Grand Lodge of Illinois. You will see members of their Grand Lodge finding those names in either Supreme Council. Fact, I would debate. You know what? I'm not going to even debate that, because I'm going to agree with you on that one. I'm going to agree with that. But that's the weirdest thing. You mean to tell me that Jones and Thornton A. Jackson, both are most Puget Sovereign Grand Commanders, had membership out of the Illinois Grand Lodge, and each of them Supreme Council? I can't wrap my hands around it. But there are proceedings, and I've seen them, with the names of various members from the Grand Lodge being in both Supreme Councils. But you and I both know something ain't right with that. There's too much cream or too much sugar in that coffee. $100. $100 on what? Thornton A. Jackson was a member of the D.C. jurisdiction. Okay, Thornton A. Jackson was a member of the D.C. jurisdiction. All right. Okay, but the $100 bet on Jones being locked up and thrown in jail. Is that the $100 bet you're talking about? Or you got another $100 bet? Because, my $100 bet is that John G. Jones was not thrown in jail. And I think they said he was thrown in jail because he was supposed to be impersonating a Freemason. Now that's the understanding I got, John. If I'm wrong, you can bring it out and say, no, this is why he was actually thrown in jail. Help me out with it. I'm just saying. That's one fact. And there were members of the Grand Lodge of Illinois who was member of both Supreme Councils. Yeah, you wrote that up. You wrote that up a little higher. And my thing is that I've seen proceedings where Some members was over here and some was over there. And then I seen proceedings that says that John G. Jones was lying in regards to a split within Illinois Grand Lodge. So was there a split in Illinois Grand Lodge because of Jones? That's my question, because I came across something that said it wasn't. You said $100 if I can prove that Jones was arrested. And I can prove that Jones was arrested. No split at all. Wait a minute. Hold on. Okay, I'm going to push aside the $100 bet, because you said that there was no split in Illinois Grand Lodge. There was a split in Illinois Grand Lodge, man. If you got members of this Supreme Council that's a member of the same Grand Lodge, you got members that no, there was a split. Prove it. St. John's Grand Lodge still exists today, right? Right? Incorporated in 1903, but they was really founded before that. It is said that, okay. That's my proof. St. John's Grand Lodge is my proof. Plain and simple. They still here today. 1903 incorporated, but we know that organizations can be around a lot longer before they even become incorporated. Okay. Brother Jones is pretty okay. Thought in his research. He goes through a limited, then Jones was arrested. Let me see, was Jones arrested through a citizen arrest? Like what happened to William Morgan? Okay. Well, I'm not for sure if he was arrested in regards to that, but I haven't found any record showing that John G. Jones, the man, was arrested. According to what I've read, is that he was supposed to have been arrested for impersonating a Mason. And I hadn't come across that, and I've done my research. I went and I looked to these places that they were supposing he was arrested, and I hadn't come across it. So, John, my word is my bond, bro. $100 to show me that Jones was arrested. How many members of the Grand Lodge of Illinois, OIS, is left with John G. Jones in 1903? He was arrested for embezzling money in New York. I'm just waiting for you to pull up the docs and say, here you go, bro. These are the documents that showing that John G. Jones was arrested for embezzlement. You know, and I'll roll with that. I'll definitely take that up, and if I'm wrong, I give you the $100. I'll Western Union to it. I would do that. I missed something down here. That will happen. Answer the question though. Answer the question. Which question you want me to answer? In regards to the split, if you're asking me the question in regards to the split, there was a split. St. John's proved that there was a split, because if Jones is suspended in 1903, he incorporates him and William Gray incorporates St. John's Grand Lodge in 1903. We both know that a Grand Lodge can be organized way before they're incorporated, John. That's my proof. How many members of the Grand Lodge of Illinois, OIE, left with Jones in 1903? Okay, so you're asking me how many members left with Jones to organize St. John's Grand Lodge in 1903. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know how many members left went with Jones to organize the Grand Lodge in 1903. And it was more than Jones that organized that Grand Lodge. You got to realize he may have had a hand in organizing St. John's Grand Lodge as we know it. And I believe that I know personally from what I've read, William Gray was a part of that, who was supposed to also have been suspended. Then Jones suspended Williams Gray, and then he goes back to the Prince Hall Grand Lodge. Okay? Okay, so you saying a handful of brothers left, there was no split. No, John, there was a split. We can agree to disagree, but there was a split. The PHA claimed their Illinois Grand Lodge proceeding Jones was sending out false notice to Mason claiming that there was a split. Yeah, that's what they say. They said that he was sending out the notice saying that there was a split. Well, you saying prove it. Well, I know that in proceedings in the newspaper that Jones did, as Freemason Unlocked stated, that Jones did send out information saying that there was a split. He even said it. But you're telling me it didn't happen because there was only a handful that left Prince Hall. Well, John, the proof is in the pudding, man. When you can pull up documents and newspaper articles for yourself that clearly says that Jones clearly stated that there was a split. He clearly stated that. But I got another question. Okay. All right, I got another question for you, John. This is from the Plumb Line, Volume 1, that was written in July 1910 on page 9. This is from the Plumb Line. All right. It says now, and I said this earlier, and I don't know if you heard me or not. It said that John G. Jones on May 6, 1880, over the signature of Thornton A. Jackson, Grand Commander for the Southern and Western jurisdiction of the Scottish Rite, Jones was elected Sovereign Grand Inspector and active member for life. From the Plumb Line, Volume 1, 1910, page 6. That's where this information comes from. That's where it comes from. Then it goes on to say that on March 25th, 1887, over the signature of James H. Handy, Grand Commander of the same Scottish Rite jurisdiction, Jones was re-elected to life membership. Now, this is from the Plumb Line. And like I said, you can read it as Plumb Line, Volume 1, and the date is July 10th, July 1910, page 9. Also, the Plumb Line, April 1911, page 4. Also is written in the Louisiana Proceedings, 1903, page 206. All right. Says PHA claimed their Illinois Grand Lodge proceedings that Jones was sending out fake news. Okay, yeah, I read that one. Prove it. You don't even know how many left. No, I don't, because I hadn't seen records that tells me how many left. I don't mind telling you I don't. I'm not afraid of that. You don't know because he never stated who went with him. Well, we don't know whether he stated it or not. The information just hadn't been found. Now, if the information comes to life, then we'll know something different, won't we? That issue can be settled by looking into the records of Prince Hall, Grand Lodge, Illinois. Its daughter lodges from that year, Brother Hanson will do it. Okay. And according to the history, Jones left the Supreme Council and formed his own council. Jones left and formed his own council. According to whose history? Because according to what I have, it clearly states that he won the election in 1895. I think 1895, 1896, that he won the election. And then afterwards, he incorporated the Supreme Council. Now, you may say he didn't win and he went and incorporated and did all of that. Okay. Now, if he didn't win and he went and incorporated and organized the Supreme Council, why would he still maintain membership in Illinois Grand Lodge up until 1903? I can't do that. That doesn't sound quite right. And according to the history, Jones left the Supreme Council and formed his own council. He formed St. John's Grand Lodge with members, not lodges. So a group of brothers left and formed the Grand Lodge with no lodges. Okay, I'm going to take that. Let's look at the Grand Lodge of New Jersey. How many lodges did they have when they formed it? I'll wait. Because according to their history, they had a handful of men who formed the Grand Lodge of New Jersey. Well, you calling what you're calling that's a fact. Well, prove your point. You said a handful of men, he formed St. John's Grand Lodges. St. John's Grand Lodge with a handful of men. Well, what's a handful of men? Are you talking 10? Are you talking 20? Are you talking 21? How many men are you talking? That's a question. If you're going to call that a fact, that would be a question. How many men, John, since you're saying a handful? I have pretty big hands that can hold a whole lot. So are you talking 10? Are you talking 20? Are you talking 30? What are you talking? Since that's a fact that he left with only a handful of men and formed St. John's Grand Lodge. Now, here's another question for you. We know that St. John's Grand Lodge was incorporated in 1903. We know that as a fact. However, we know that also organizations can be organized way before they're incorporated. Right? Okay, that is not the point. He formed the Grand Lodge being an identified as okay, all right. Hold on just a second. Yeah, I would agree. He did. He left and did his own thing without the blessings of Prince Hall. I will agree, Freemason Unlocked, that Jones did break off and did his own thing without his blessings. Yes, he did. I will agree with that 100%. Okay, so the Grand Lodge was incorporated in 1904. No, hold on a second. Hold on a second. You're saying that the Grand Lodge was incorporated in 1904. Hold on. I'm looking for it. Okay. No, the Grand Lodge was not incorporated in 1904. I have it right here. The Grand Lodge was incorporated in 1903, not 1904. I should have betted you on that one, but I already got $100 out there. But no, that Grand Lodge was incorporated in 1903, and it was October the 21st. That's St. John's Grand Lodge. All right. So there you have it. The mainstream Grand Lodges formed its own without authority. Yeah, that's true. Mainstream Grand Lodges did form their own without authority. As I said before, John, New Jersey Grand Lodge, the Grand Lodge of New Jersey, and you know that they didn't have lodges when they formed. They had a handful of Masons, right? But they don't never tell you where those Masons come from that organized that Grand Lodge. But that was okay. That's okay for them to do that. I'm just saying. Oh, but they weren't suspended Masons, right? Okay. I'm just trying to have an understanding. Just trying to have an understanding. The mainstream, okay, yep. It says St. John's Grand Lodge was incorporated while Jones was on indefinite suspension. Can a suspended Mason form a Grand Lodge? His suspension was supposed to be indefinite, right? So when did wait a minute. In 1903, he incorporates the Grand Lodge, St. John's Grand Lodge, right? If he incorporates St. John's Grand Lodge in 1903, when in 1903 that he was supposed to be indefinitely suspended? And to answer your question, can a suspended Mason form a Grand Lodge? Boom. Well, if the suspended Mason forms a Grand Lodge, he's then no longer part of that jurisdiction. So he's free to go. He's suspended. He's suspended from that jurisdiction. So he has no rights or privileges as a Freemason under that jurisdiction. Period. He's suspended from that jurisdiction. He no longer has membership in that jurisdiction. He's free to go. He's done. He's washed up. He's no longer a Freemason according to that jurisdiction. He's done. That's how I see it. If I lose my job and I've been working there for a long time, and they say, you good to go, you're free, that doesn't stop me from taking what I have and going somewhere else. It doesn't stop anything. So you're saying that suspended Mason can go out and form a Grand Lodge. I'm saying that if you tell me that I'm no longer part of your jurisdiction, be it suspended or fired, and I'm done with you, I'm going to go do me. I'm going to go join somebody else's Grand Lodge that's going to accept me. I'm just going to go on and just, I'm done with you. Who owns Freemasonry? Well, brother, the white Muhammad, nobody owns Freemasonry. Freemasonry is something that you practice. Am I right or am I wrong? I mean, people can go now and buy any ritual, any book they want and do whatever they can do that. He didn't join another Grand Lodge. He formed a new one. He didn't do it by himself, John. He didn't do it by himself. That's what I'm trying to say. He didn't form that Grand Lodge by himself. And and not only that, he wasn't the first Grand Master of that jurisdiction. It was William Gray. So he didn't form that Grand Lodge by himself. Those brothers accepted him. He may have he may have gotten in to assist and aided, but he wasn't the main one. That's like an issue of the Grand Lodge Orient of France and the UGLE. The Grand Orient of France is strong even after the ULG expelled it. Okay. Can a suspended Mason form a... No, John, a suspended Mason can't form a Grand Lodge. However, I said it. Yes, I did. However, if a suspended Mason is no longer part of your jurisdiction, if you tell me I'm suspended from your jurisdiction, I'm free to go. And if another lodge accepts me, I'm good. But you're saying that, well, that lodge wasn't organized. He participated in organizing the Grand Lodge because his name is on the incorporation paper. But William Gray is the sitting Grand Master. There must have been members who organized that Grand Lodge. It just wasn't him. The UGLE didn't expel the Grand Orient of France. They just revoked their recognition. No, he was a participant. You can't say he was the main guy. Well, you can if you choose to. That's your prerogative to say that he was the main guy. I just differ. I just believe that it was more than just Jones in this whole thing. The same thing. Freemason Unlocked said the same thing, and you know that. Okay, so now if the Grand Lodge if the UGLE doesn't recognize France doesn't recognize France, does that mean that France is now clandestine? I'm just asking. I believe not. If they're sovereign, it doesn't matter. And let's talk about the UGLE real quick here, just for a moment. Because the ULG doesn't, I'm going to say this, they are not the mother of Freemasonry. Now some would say, well, they're the mother of the system of Freemasonry, which most of us find ourselves taking that same practice from. And I can agree to disagree with that. However, they don't rule Freemasonry. A lot of people think they do, but they don't. UGLE does not rule Freemasonry. To revoke recognition is the same as expulsion. They are the Mother Grand Lodge system, not symbolism. Okay. According to who? According to the fact that in 1717 that they was drunk, they all met at this tavern and they decided to organize the system as we know it today. That makes them the mother. When we all know that there was other Masonic lodges out there that wasn't quite organized as we know it today, but they was there. And where did these Masons come from anyway? No, it's not. A Grand Lodge cannot expel another Grand Lodge. A Grand Lodge, no. John, I understand what you're saying. And I'm going to agree with you as far as a Grand Lodge cannot expel another Grand Lodge, but they can remove recognition from that Grand Lodge. And if they remove recognition from that Grand Lodge, since everybody considers them to be the mother Grand Lodge, does that make them clandestine? Well, I'm just agreeing with you. I mean, I can agree with you on some things. Yeah, you know. Um, well, John, I don't know, because a lot of Prince Hall brothers say, well, because you're not recognized by the UGLE, you're clandestine, John. That's what they say. How true is that? I don't partake in that. I don't. It means they are no longer recognized. That is true. Freemason Unlocked. That is true. That is true. If a Grand Lodge remove recognition from another Grand Lodge, then they don't recognize that Grand Lodge. You cannot visit their lodges. None of that. Okay, so Freemason Unlocked, you're saying that's the same thing that happens when you get expelled. Well, you can. I don't know about that one, Freemason Unlocked. You know, as far as that's being the same thing. I see your point, but a Grand Lodge removing recognition doesn't mean you're expelled. But I can see your point. Oh, John, come on now. Prince Hall was regular without the UGLE? No. And I'm saying no because that's why you went there. That's why they look for the UGLE. If that's your mother, you're saying the UGLE is the mother. Then if you're recognized by your mother, then hey, great. That's the claim. That's the fight, right? Come on, I don't believe that Prince Hall was regular without the permission of the UGLE. Now, no, I don't believe that. I think they wanted that recognition from the UGLE. If they was regular without the UGLE, well, why even bother? Why even go to them to ask them to recognize you? Why even build that bridge? Apparently they needed the UGLE, or the UGLE needed them. You know, and that's what gets me, John. Help me to understand this here. We're talking about John G. Jones. They were regular without the recognition. Okay, Tony, come on, man. You are supposed to be a Masonic scholar. No, Prince Hall Lodges was struck from the role of the UGLE. Recognition and regularity are two different things. I will agree, John, that recognition and regularity are two different things. But however, here I sit in a jurisdiction that is not recognized by Prince Hall or mainstream Grand Lodges, and yet I'm considered to be clandestine because the name that we hold is the name that we have is the name of John G. Jones Grand Lodge, which some would say, oh, he was the expelled Mason, therefore you're a clandestine. Joan, come on now, John. How is that? Somebody got to help me with that one. Somebody got to help me with that one now. I'm waiting. I need my signal back up. Prince Hall Mason couldn't attend a UGL. Let me see. Prince Hall Unlocked says that Prince Hall Masons couldn't attend the UGLE lodges at the time. They were looked at as clandestine and irregular. Okay, so two things. Yes, the Grand Lodge, the UGLE did look at Prince Hall as being clandestine, John. You know it and I know it. Yes, they did, and so did the rest of the Grand Lodges, the mainstream Grand Lodges in the United States. Consider Prince Hall to be clandestine. All right? Then I'm going to go up here, and there's a question. You said the reason we're looked at is because of our lineage to Jones. Well, John, according to your own book, Prince Hall wasn't quite right when he started out. Right? I mean, knowing that Bates, a military lodge, issued him a charter and initiated 14 men. Now, Now let's take a look at this here, John. You have Bates, who's over a military lodge, initiated Prince Hall and the 14 other guys, right? Now, how many men were with him? How many men was with Bates when he did that initiation? Where are their names at? Because one man can initiate 14 guys. Because your history lineage goes back to a man who was expelled and still practicing. Well, Jones is dead now. They were not looked at as clandestine by the UGLE. You won't find that anywhere. That's because the UGLE never comes out and says anything about anybody being clandestine. That's why you won't find it. Hell, they don't even say my Grand Lodge is clandestine. They may say that you're not recognized, but they don't say you're clandestine. Just like the Grand Lodge of California, they don't say that you are clandestine. They just say you're not recognized. So therefore, you don't have visitation right. Just like other Grand Lodges. Show me documents where the UGLE or the Grand Lodge of England saw Prince Hall as clandestine. The reason I say that personally, John, is because if they didn't see them as clandestine or irregular Masons, they would have given them recognition a long time ago. That's why I'm saying that. If the UGLE did not consider Prince Hall to be irregular or clandestine, they would have given them recognition a long time ago. We're talking 200 some years. Plus, the ULG is hypocritical about innovation. The Grand Lodge system is generally innovating as it doesn't exist in being, okay, Masonry history wrong. Correct about the clandestine thing. They don't use the term. It was political dealing with, oh, come on, John. It was political? Yes, the UGLE uses the term unrecognized. Yes, they do. They do. And John, you're saying that it was all political. I think it's deeper than that, because of mainstream Grand Lodges, and you and I both know that even though you're Prince Hall, that doesn't mean that there's a blanket recognition for all of Prince Hall Grand Lodges across the whole entire state by every mainstream Grand Lodge. That's on a one-to-one basis, because the Grand Lodge of California Grand Lodge does not recognize New York Grand Lodge of Prince Hall. As of last month, they didn't. Now, things could have changed, but as far as I know, of last month, they did not. So when you tell me that Prince Hall is recognized across the board, you and I both know that's not necessarily true. Okay, so you're saying, Tony, you can't believe that you are sitting here acting like the UGLE didn't require Prince Hall Grand Lodge to first get recognition from mainstream Grand Lodges first before they could recognize them. Why would they want that to happen, John? I mean, of course, they are UGLE. So why would they want Prince Hall Grand Lodge to first seek recognition from the states in order for them to become recognized by them, since they're the mother? If you're the mother, why would you even want that? Because you have the power to recognize anybody you want to. Oh, it's political. Politics. Well, politics is in everything. And according to Masonic rules and regulations, you're not supposed to be talking politics and religion in your lodge meetings. For real. Yeah, hey, politics is in everything. However, if the Mother Grand Lodge choose to recognize who they want to, they're sovereign. But you're saying there's politics involved. So therefore, if they needed mainstream Grand Lodges to recognize Prince Hall before they could. So John, tell me this here. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I will agree. Just because they're the Mother Grand Lodge doesn't mean that they're not subjected to politics. Think about the history of the Grand Lodge of England and the ancient Grand Lodge of England before they merged. The ancient Grand Lodge of England didn't jack the Grand Lodge of England because they were self-appointed. Well, yeah, they split. Then they came back together, for harmony and peace purposes. I don't know how politics, how deep that went into politics, but hey, it was there. Before there was a Grand Lodge, before there were Grand Lodges, they were lodges. There was never a split. John, so you mean to tell me that not the United Grand Lodge of England, but the Grand Lodge of England, the modern and the ancients, there was no split? They, no? No, John. The There was never a split. Only lodges. No. So if there was never a split, so who came first? Was the modern, as we know it today, here before the ancients, or were the ancients here before the moderns? And why did they come together if there was no split? Jones is right. The ancient came from Ireland. No, I'm not lost on the basics. The modern came before the ancients. So the modern came before the ancients. Then when the ancients got there, why was they calling each other clandestine? I mean, I'm just asking, why was they calling each other clandestine? Because according to the Scottish Rite Volume 1 and 2, when I read that little history in there, that was pretty deep. That was pretty deep about the Blue Lodge and how they all came and in the sale of degrees. They were selling degrees and everything else. It's in Scottish Rite Volume 1 and 2. So, John, help me to understand this here. So the moderns and the ancients came together to form what we know today as the United Grand Lodge of England. Am I having is that correct? The modern calls the ancient clandestine because they formed a Grand Lodge independent of them. That sounds like what's happening today, don't you think? The ancients would call the modern clandestine. Okay, yeah, that sounds exactly what they're doing. That sounds exactly what's happening today. Ask that question again. Shit, John, I asked that question. It went out, but it'll come back to me. No disrespect, it will come back to me on that question. The ancient. I'm gonna go back to that. So there was no split. Wait a minute. So you're saying the modern called the ancient clandestine because they formed the Grand Lodge independent of them. The ancients were called modern clandestine because they said they made innovation. Oh, okay, got you. So there was simply saying that there was many lodges before the Grand Lodge concept came into existence. The oldest lodge in existence in Scotland, and they formed their own Grand Lodge later. Okay, John, I'm gonna go with that one. I'm gonna go with that one until I can go back and do some reading that I came across that said that there was a split. Hey, I'm just going by what I read. I would certainly do that. So, John, you're saying that there was no split, and you agree with Freemasonry Unlocked. Okay, all right. I won't debate that right now, but I definitely go back and check for myself. See, this is a simple thing. The Grand Lodge of England was attempting to monopolize that. Now, I do agree with that they were attempting to monopolize. Yeah, I will agree with that one. After it was founded, John, what do you got to say about that? Since there was no split, and I'm saying that there was no split because you two agreed to the fact that there was no split, and all of that. Okay, that's why the ancients formed an opposite. Okay, all right, I can see that. I can see that. And see, I'm an easy guy, John. I don't mind admitting that I'm wrong. I mean, you and Freemason Unlocked totally agree on that concept. No, they weren't. They still recognized lodges in equity and didn't require any of them to join them. Okay. Okay. But John, I could have sworn I read something that said there was a split between them, and then they came back together. But I'm gonna check. I got some books I'm gonna take a look at, and if I come across it, I'll share it with you. If I don't, I'll tell you I can't find it, and I will agree with you until I find it. No, they weren't. They still recognized lodge. Okay. Go read up on your York Lodge. There was no issues with them. Okay. I don't mind. I don't mind doing that. I'm an easy type of guy. I'm not that one. I'm an easy type of guy. And that's what really gets me in all of this Masonic stuff, right? But in practice, they wanted lodges to have a charter from them to visit. The guys who started the ancients. I'm taking the bet. I will see if, okay, all right, we'll take the bet then. Did so because they were being denied. Okay. So what I'm seeing here, and I'll say this here, John, you said I'm about to get off here for a moment. Okay, John. Hey, I appreciate you stopping in, bro. Anytime. You know what? And I wish you success in anything you do, John. That's from me to you. That's straight. But I'm gonna say this because I'm about to get off too because I have to go to work myself in a couple of hours. Sheesh. All right. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. I'm gonna say this here. I can agree to disagree on some things that John may have said, and definitely I disagree with a whole lot on that Prince Hall think tank. I really do. And the mere fact that the organization, the Black Ancient Free and Accepted Mason, is still here today, not going anywhere. So as I always say, sometimes you can take that or let it alone. But we're not going anywhere. Nobody owns Freemasonry. A Grand Lodge can recognize who they choose to recognize. And because one says that your lineage doesn't come from somewhere, does not negate who you are as a Grand Lodge. Now, I will say this, and we talked about on our conference call today with some of my brothers about what we call pop-up Grand Lodges that just come out of nowhere. And we need to slow that down. We really need to slow that down. And I say that because if you want to organize a Grand Lodge, by all means, if that's your final, that's your final thing, and you gotta do it. As long as it's done right, according to customs, as long as it's done right, you know what? I wish you great success in whatever you do. However, I would appreciate it if brothers who want their Grand Lodge because the Grand Master is not doing what he's supposed to do, if at all possible, I would hope that those and organize the Grand Lodge is your last alternative. This is it. I can respect that. But man, we got to slow the pace down. We got to somehow find a way to stop with this Grand Lodge just coming up out the blue. Just coming up, And I'm going to tell you this here. I did this a few years back, and I regret it now. I don't mind saying I'm a big guy. I don't mind saying that I regret it. I regret it because of the Grand Master and what he did. So I went to Texas, and I assisted. Tony Hawkins, Tony Muhammad, assisted in helping to formulate. No, I installed the Grand Master of that jurisdiction. That's what I did. Let's have an understanding. I installed this Grand Master, and I was happy for his success and everything. But when he turned around and totally just, I don't know what he did, but when I went back to check and see how things was going with the Grand Lodge, they are no longer in existence. Why would you treat brothers like that? Why would you have brothers to leave a place where they was comfortable, where they was probably happy, where they was doing their own thing, and then you bring them, you formulate a Grand Lodge, and then because they're not going in the direction that you want to go, you want to tear it up. Man, that bothered me. It bothered me because I believed in you and what you was trying to do. I believed in you in not only what you was trying to do, but you wanted the craft to survive. You wanted them to have a safe haven. You wanted to be shown that this can be done right. And I believed in you, and then you turn around and just kill the whole organization. You left those sisters out to dry. You left those brothers out to dry, where they could have stayed or went to another jurisdiction. But you conned them into organizing a Grand Lodge, and then you left them. This is the type of stuff that I don't like. I don't like it. If you're going to do that, stand by the organization that you helped to structure, you helped to build, you helped to organize. Stand by them, man. Come on. Let's stop doing that. You know, I'm mad at the Grand Master, so I want to go build a Grand Lodge. Come on now. No. If you upset the Grand, when you get a chance, let me know which ancient free and accepted Grand Lodges are recognized by your Congress in New York. If I'm not mistaken, King Solomon Grand Lodge out of New York, we recognize them. There is another one out of New York that we recognize also. King Solomon and Grandmaster Cannon out of New York is the past Grandmaster of one particular jurisdiction I'm familiar with, and we recognize their Grand Lodge. Harem. Oh, okay, yeah. Grandmaster Cannon, Harem Grand Lodge. I'm gonna have to check that. I think Grandmaster Cannon may be a past Grandmaster of Harem Grand Lodge, but we do recognize King Solomon Grand Lodge out of New York. We do recognize them, and those two I know for sure. There may be a third one, but I know for sure of those two out of New York. But definitely, you know, that needs to like slow down, man. I mean that bothers me. That bothers me. So look, it's been an hour and 22 minutes, and I appreciate you coming on, Brother Hanson, John, and I appreciate you, Freemason Unlocked. I know it's late on the East Coast, and I know that basketball game had a lot of us glued, you know. I appreciate the conference call today from Brother Christopher Tabb, Brother Debo, Brother Fellow, and Brother Amos. I appreciate you, brothers. I enjoyed it. And for those other brothers who was on the phone line, I don't recall your name. I appreciate each of you. So I'm going to sign off this evening. And John, it's a $100 bet that John G. Jones, the man, the lawyer, was not arrested. And from what I understand, he was arrested for impersonating a Mason. But you said he was arrested for embezzling money. That's a $100 bet. That's all I'm saying. And I don't mind paying $100. I mean, just show it. Peace and good night to you. Peace, Brother Muhammad. I